You're watching 13 News, Kansas News Leader.
Good evening. Thanks for continuing on with us here for this early 5:30 13 News. We'll get back to NCAA March Madness tournament action at 6 o'clock, and glad you're with us for our hour. I'm Ralph Hipp.
And I'm Melissa Bruner. We are still waiting for word of formal charges in the deaths of 3 people found in North Topeka Sunday. 13
Sean Wheat has the story first at 5:30 now from the Shawnee County Courthouse. Sean?
I can tell you that Shawnee County District Attorney Mike Kagay was expecting to release some details this afternoon. He hasn't done so yet. But family of Shane Mills are telling us that they still believe he's innocent, and they're making sure everyone knows. Friends and family of Shane Mays gathered in front of the Shawnee County Courthouse to protest his arrest in a triple homicide.
He was a victim. He witnessed things that I would not wish on my worst enemy.
Mays, Brian Flowers, Joseph Cron, and Joseph Lowry all are being held on murder charges with bond at $1 million. They're accused in the deaths of Nicole Fisher, Matthew Levitt, and Luke Davis. Mays' fiance Emma Bell says he is also a victim.
The only thing that was supposed to happen is they were supposed to go hang out. They ended up going to this house because Matthew got a call from somebody to go there, and things happened that I wish he wouldn't have explained to me happened.
She says Levitt was asked to pick up Fisher, but the two were kidnapped and held at gunpoint. McPherson and Bell both say Mays went to police after he was let go and gave them info about the homicide before he was taken into custody himself. Well, the family have set up a Facebook page in support of Mills. You can find a link to that and also any additional details once they're released on our website at WIBW.com.
2 very interesting stories there at the courthouse, and Sean Wheat, thank you for that. Kansas leaders at the Capitol today gathering to commemorate the life of the man who was slain in a hate crime last month in Olathe. Governor Brownback signed a proclamation calling today Indian American Appreciation Day. And there was a bit of also celebration for the salute to the survivors, Alok Madasani and Ian Grillett. Madasani was with 32-year-old Srinivas Kutlebotla on that Olathe bar that fateful night when Adam Purinton reportedly yelled, "Get out of my country," and opened fire February 22nd. Kutlebotla was killed and Madasani was wounded, as was Grillett when he tried to intervene. The governor says moments like these are times to reflect.
It's just, you know, it's a terrible thing that happened, and the person that did this needs to be prosecuted to the absolute full extent of the law, and they will be. But all we can do is then afterwards is saying this was wrong, completely. It was terrible that it happened, and now we're going to try to move forward and rebuild.
House and Senate members also recognized Madasani and Grillett.
The Kansas Supreme Court heard oral arguments this morning in a case that will decide whether the Kansas Constitution gives the right to an abortion. The arguments stem from a case challenging a state law prohibiting one abortion method. 13's Natalie Otto was at the hearing this morning, and Natalie, some call this the most important pro-life case ever.
That's right, Melissa. In 2015, Governor Sam Brownback signed the Kansas Unborn Child Protection from Dismemberment Abortion Act. The law was the first of its kind in the nation, banning a common but controversial abortion method.
Today, this court is being asked to do something it has never done before.
A lower court ruled against a 2015 Kansas law banning the dilation and evacuation abortion procedure, saying in part that the state's constitution protects abortion rights independent of federal law. But Kansas Solicitor General Stephen McAllister argued the state's history suggests otherwise.
Kansans have a way to make sure their constitution evolves with their desires and with their culture and with their mores, and it's the amendment process. And I recognize there's judicial judgment here, but with all respect, this one might be a step too far.
Janet Krebs, attorney for New York-based Center for Reproductive Rights, argued banning what is described as the safest and most common second trimester abortion method jeopardized a woman's right to safe and effective medical care.
There is no way that the state can enforce these burdens and essentially condition the exercise of a constitutional right on having to accept that kind of a lower standard of medical care.
Planned Parenthood agreed, stating politics has no place in the decision.
This is about protecting a woman's right to choose, as well as a doctor's ability to provide the kind of care they believe is best for their patient.
But Kansans for Life executive director suggested mothers might feel differently if they knew what the procedure entailed.
Would you rather have an abortion where it happens quickly and the baby doesn't feel pain, at least not for more than a second, or would you rather have your baby dismembered alive?
It will be several weeks before the justices issue their decision.
A case we will, of course, continue to follow. Natalie Otto, thanks for sitting in on that hearing today.
And we have warmed up considerably outside today. Jeremy Goodwin is in the Weather Center to let us know how long this might stick around.
Hi, Ralph, Melissa. Many of us are 30 degrees warmer than we were at this time yesterday. Concordia, 20 degrees warmer because you were in the low 50s yesterday, but Topeka was in the upper 30s. So it's a big change for all of us. Here's a live view outside from Manhattan, our Flint Hills Discovery Center view, and everything is dry and certainly mild with a 32-degree warm-up from this time yesterday in Topeka, bringing us all the way to 71 now. Salina has 77. And Troy is at 69 degrees, Lancaster 64. Really a beautiful day. Quite a few clouds tonight, dry 50, 68 tomorrow with a light breeze. We could see rain, but not until late Sunday night. Your full 8-day forecast is coming up.
All right. As they say, the ball has tipped. March Madness got underway earlier today. Our Kansas teams, they don't play till Friday. Today was a practice day for them.
We begin our team coverage brought to you by Kaw Valley Bank with 13 Sports' Jonathan Deutsch. He is with the Kansas Jayhawks in Tulsa, and he found the star of another team there who's also a Kansas treasure. Jonathan?
SMU junior forward Shemi Ojale averaged just about 10 minutes when he played at Duke back in 2014-2015. He then sat out a year because he transferred to SMU, and now he's starting to shine. He is now averaging 19 points and 7 rebounds. The Ottawa, Kansas native knows his upbringing in the Sunflower State is what helped him become the basketball player that he is today.
You know, when I first started, it was just something to do. I mean, for Kansas, it's pretty quiet, so, you know, there's not much else to do but play basketball. But, you know, as I started to get a little more attention, you know, it was something that helped me to really branch out, you know, to kind of see the country, see the world, and have more opportunities than I would have had, you know, had I not been playing basketball. You know, I remember watching, you know, Wayne Simeon, Aaron Miles, Keith Langford, you know, those were the guys. I remember when Coach Williams was still there and before he left to go to North Carolina. So, you know, I was definitely a KU fan growing up, and just watching their success, their consistency was something that I really admired.
Ojale said he was a KU fan growing up, but that had to change after a while because his older brother went to Kansas State and played basketball for the Wildcats. Speaking of the Wildcats, Chris Lilly is out in Sacramento following K-State. Let's send it out to him. Chris?
Those K-State Wildcats have had a roller coaster of a season so far, but they are playing the best basketball of their season, especially after a win over Wake Forest in Dayton. And some K-State Wildcat fans are soaking up the sun here in Sacramento and the positive vibes.
I am a huge supporter of the men's team, and I've been at almost every game this season, and I've seen the ups and downs, and man, for a while I was thinking, what are we doing? And then, you know, things started to come together, and I just had faith, and I was happy.
The West Virginia game, even though they lost, even losing by 1 point, I still believe in the team. I think that if they can hang with KU, they can hang with anybody. And I actually got them winning it all in my bracket, so I guess we'll see what happens. So.
I think they're going to do awesome. I think they are prepared, had a couple days to, you know, rest from travel. And I think they'll, you know, put on a fight, and they're ready to go now.
Well, my faith is always strong, and I think we're going to do really good. We got a gentleman named DJ Johnson on our team. He's dropping 30 points. You heard it here.
Those K-State Wildcat fans, that's a bold move, picking them to win the NCAA Tournament. So the K-State Wildcats will now try to not be bracket busters. Reporting live from Sacramento, Chris Lilly, 13 Sports.
Always a lot of fun. Can't wait for those games tomorrow night. The first games of the evening session across the networks, as they say.
All three from Kansas, all on one night.
Wichita State, we didn't mention, they are playing tomorrow night as well.
And Wichita State, that's the game that 13 has, 6:10 on Friday night. An immediate medical response from an accident scene today, and we'll have that story coming up on our earlier 5:30 news.
Also, why police are still looking for a person involved in this wreck. Next.
You're watching 13 News at 6 with Melissa Bruner and Ralph Hipp. 13 News, Kansas News Leader. You're watching 13 News, Kansas News Leader.
Topeka police report they're looking for the passenger in a car that crashed into a car wash overnight.
Police say the car lost control and jumped the curb around 2:10 a.m., smashing into a vacuum unit at the Laser Car Wash at 10th and Fairlawn. Police say 2 people were in that car. The driver was taken to the hospital with injuries, but the passenger fled before police arrived. They say they believe the passenger did suffer some head injuries when their head hit the windshield. They've alerted local hospitals just in case he shows up for treatment.
2 elderly people who were in this SUV with minor injuries this morning. Police say the driver here had accidentally jumped a curb and crashed into the front entrance barrier wall of Cotton O'Neill's clinic at 9th and Garfield. The front of that SUV was crumpled. The driver and passenger with only minor injuries and not far away. They were treated right there at the scene. Good news, probably when you maybe stepped out for lunch or if you've stepped out this evening, it's still light and it's still warm out there. We finally warmed back up a bit today.
We'll see if we can keep the warm temps around and when we could also see some storms roll in. Jeremy's forecast is coming up next.
This is your 13 weather forecast with Jeremy Goodwin.
Saw a huge warm up in temperatures after yesterday when many of us were in the 30s. Today, most of us saw highs in the 70s. We do have the pollens beginning to climb. Juniper, maple, and elm all in the high category for the Sharp Honda sneeze alert today, and that's just getting going. So check out the live Capitol Federal Storm Tracker. You can see clouds moving in, no rain, but Concordia in the thick clouds now. Clay Center, just seeing the clouds roll in over the last few minutes. And as we check out the sky cam from the Clay County Medical Center, this is a time lapse over the last half an hour, and you can see those clouds streaming in from the northwest right now. No precipitation with this, but we are seeing clouds. In Topeka, still mostly sunny, but the same clouds will roll in from the northwest in a couple of hours. Still dry, but likely to see those clouds rolling into the capital city and around Lawrence by 9 o'clock as well. Jayhawk Tower view from the Parish Hotel's Ramada Hotel and Convention Center camera. It's calm. Temperatures much warmer than yesterday. A 32-degree warm-up from this time yesterday with the temperature currently 31 or 71. We were in the 30s at this time yesterday afternoon. Concordia, Salina, Abilene were actually in the low 50s yesterday, so this is a huge warm-up from there, but it was not quite as cold as folks to the east yesterday. Let's check the satellite and radar imagery. Here comes that batch of clouds moving in, slightly cooler air behind that with highs tomorrow in the mid to upper 60s. Not terrible, but not as warm as it was today. We'll go with about 68 in Topeka tomorrow afternoon. No chance of rain tonight at all. 50, cloudy, mild, winds up to 20 miles per hour. North wind tomorrow, 5 to 10 miles per hour. Just a beautiful day. And as we round out the last couple of days of winter, we'll see really a nice weekend. This chance of rain on Sunday is going to be after 7 p.m. or 8. And if we saw any rain, we could see severe storms out of that, but most of the weekend looks dry, and the rain chance Sunday is late, and it is a very small chance, just one there in case we have any strong or severe storms, because if we had anything, it would have the possibility of being strong. But a high of 83 Sunday, that's the last full day of winter, so 83 in winter. Monday, the first day of spring, beginning officially at 5:29 a.m. I can't wait to get up and party for that. Okay, maybe not.
So many ups and downs this time of year, though. Just yesterday, we were bundled up in several layers, and now I'm looking at an 83 on the 8-day forecast.
Yes, we
There
like
you
that
go.
better.
Just that, I think we're all glad, and you're glad we're not breathing that cold air all the time. We get a break from that and doing like this. Okay.
Might find it hard to actually stay inside and watch all the games because it'll be so nice out.
I think people will still
Split
do
your
it.
time,
Probably.
use your time wisely. Well, it's a fascinating tale of two programs. Of course, Kansas, #1 seed, always invited in. The K-State Wildcats, they played their way in. Now they're a night closer to their game against the Cincinnati Bearcats. Who could have a breakout game against the Bearcats? We'll find out.
Also, the Jayhawks taking the court for their first practice in Tulsa. We have team coverage from Chris Lilly, Jonathan Deutsch, and Brad Peckinet. Next.
This is 13 Sports.
The madness has begun, and Kansas State and Kansas are gearing up for their games. First up is 13 Sports' Jonathan Deutsch, who is live in Tulsa with coverage sponsored by Cobb Valley Bank.
Hey, thanks, Brad. It's experience versus the new guys here in Tulsa in the NCAA tournament, as the Kansas Jayhawks, the 1 seed, will face 16 seed UC Davis, making their first NCAA tournament appearance. The Jayhawks should feel pretty good going into this one, considering in the entire history of this tournament, no 16 seed has ever beaten a number 1 seed. Landon Lucas earlier today addressed that possibility.
I'm aware of it. I think if anything, it makes you take the game a little bit more seriously, because you don't want to be that team at all. But, you know, we know that at the end of the day, if we play at all, you know, our basketball and worry about ourselves, that the rest will handle itself. I mean, and so we just go out there and not worry too much about the history of the 16-1 or anything like that, and just play our game and it'll work out.
So are the Jayhawks feeling any extra pressure with that 1 seed? Well, we'll find out 24 hours from today. Let's send it out to Sacramento, California, where Chris Lilly is out there covering the K-State Wildcats. Chris?
The K-State Wildcats are in the round of 64 thanks to a star performance from their sophomore guard, Kamal Stokes, who scored 22 points against Wake Forest for the win, and that's after he struggled early on.
They just told me to be aggressive, you know, let the game come to me. In the first half, I was kind of forcing some things that weren't even there, and I just had to take what they gave me.
One of the things I told, you know, we had to get back on transition defense, but part of that was being efficient on offense. And we were pretty efficient. We got a lot of easy shots, and, you know, you shoot 66, like I said. Now, we turned it over a few too many times. I thought Cam, a little out of character first half, forced some things, and, you know, but he settled down. And, you know, we had some breaks. Corby forced a couple. Dean had a break, and he forced it.
A lot. Whenever you're making shots, your confidence is way up, you know, and it's up to you to keep doing that or settle down. I kept doing it.
Thanks, Chris. KWCH reports that Wichita State basketball great Dave Stallworth has passed away at the age of 75 today. Stallworth was an All-American at Wichita State, where he led the team to their first NCAA tournament appearance in 1964. After his career as a Shocker ended, he entered into the NBA draft and was picked third in the first round by the Knicks in 1970. Stallworth was a key asset to the 1970 world champion Knicks team as well. He is currently third on the Shockers' all-time leading scorers list. The Wichita State Shockers will hit this court for their first practice round at 6 today. We'll have more from them on tonight's Sportscast.
Okay. All 3 Sunflower State teams playing tomorrow night.
Right. And thank you for the word on Dave Stallworth, the passing of a legend for sure. Dave Stallworth passing away at 75. We'll be back with more in just a moment.
This is your 13 weather forecast.
Temperatures tonight will drop to around 50 degrees, not terribly cold. South winds gusting as high as 20 miles per hour. Tomorrow, a few clouds and 68 degrees. It will be dry again. Beautiful day. We begin spring officially on Monday at 5:29 a.m. Slight chance of thunderstorms Sunday night. That's after seeing a high of 83, and slightly cooler on Monday, but all 8 of those days in the 8-day forecast much warmer than the 30s we endured yesterday and a couple of days before.
Will feel great. Thank you. Well, young ladies learn to look toward the future and take pride in their Latina heritage. Mana de Topeka held its 7th annual Hermanitas Conference at Washburn University. About 200 girls from 6 area middle schools and 5 high schools were encouraged to explore their future options. Danielle Dempsey-Swopes, Washburn's Director of Diversity Inclusion, was the keynote speaker, and volunteers from different careers also came to encourage the girls.
These young girls, they're our future. Our goal is to continue the education, to get them to realize that there's an importance of setting some goals, getting past high school and getting into a technical school or college, looking for a future, setting some goals. So we're very excited.
Padilla said some of the careers she's heard the girls mention are judges, nurses, doctors, architects, and engineers.
And we had some businesses in the area helping the Combat Air Museum shine. Westar Energy and Capital Federal presented grants today, $25,000. The museum says they'll use that money to replace some old lighting fixtures in a couple of their hangars with the modern, reliable, energy-efficient LED lights. The museum says that new lighting will enhance the aircraft and the artifacts on display while reducing that crucial energy bill by 3/4 by 75%. CapFed's donation will replace the over 60-year-old light grid and structure in the south hangar. Westar's donation will fix the north side. And you can hear more about the plans at WIBW.com. Hope you've seen the aircraft, and I know a lot of people have eaten pancakes in there. That's the place.
Stay tuned. We are going to be returning you to NCAA Tournament action just in 2 minutes on CBS.
We'll check the lineup with CBS and see you after it's over.
The latest news, weather, and sports at WIBW.com or follow WIBW on Twitter, Facebook, and our mobile app. Thank you for making 13 News the most watched evening newscast.